Good morning, this is Rhonda of Rhonda Lynn Likes Crafts, and I'm trying to record this book. This is a book I made, well, I think I finished it a couple of weeks ago. It's Edgar Allan Poe's poems. Well, I didn't do the poems any justice from when I made his last book that it covered his life, but it covered his stories. So I knew I had to do a book on his poems. And so this morning I've been interrupted twice trying to do this. So let's see if this works. Seriously, I'm going to have to rent a studio just to record the books. So I wanted the cover. Well, first of all, this book was a book about war. So I had to paint the book so that there was no way you could see the title. These are stickers, actually. I glued them on. And so I had to paint it. So I went with light blue, that's my dog, a light blue and kind of a pastel colored background. This is a skeleton key. For some reason, it just kind of hangs. I think all my books have a skeleton key. This is paper that I dyed myself because I'm going to give you the paper rant. I do not like paper from Michael's or Joann's. I just don't like it at all. So I kind of did this one in kind of a silver tone. And the paper I dye myself, I probably could leave in the ink a little bit longer. I don't. This is a little piece of commercial paper. I think it's a book maybe it's a book from Michael's. And so I kind of floated the titles around on the cover. And I'll tell you a little bit about the book I got the poems from. This is a gold raven. A gold raven, imagine that. This is more paper I dyed. Of course, I hand dyed most of this. But this is from one of the craft stores, but I liked it. And it's not too bright, and it's kind of watery looking. So this is To the River. I used more poems than this. Again, I wanted the titles to kind of float in watercolor. Again, that's an interruption, so we're just going to go with these interruptions this morning. This is some ephemera I had. I always sign the book and date it. At least date the year. The book itself is called Poems, P-O-E, with little m, little s. This is a clear wax seal. I bought some clear wax from Etsy. Let's see if you can see it. It's a clear wax seal. This is a tag from a lollipop that somebody gave me for my birthday. I thought it fit perfectly there and used it. Irrecoverably, I am a poet. That's a line that he put in a letter, that Edgar Allan Poe put in a letter to one of his publishers. He was kind of irritated with him. I like the line, and the line might show up again. This is lace paper. It's a lace cutting from my porch prints. This again is that paper. When I sewn this book together, I didn't want to start with this poem, but apparently I did. That paper there is from an envelope. This is before I decided to tab all the poems. So it kind of starts kind of dramatic with the poem Silence. So I'm about to have another interruption here, so sorry. This is the poem itself. That's an envelope, and this is from My Porch Prints. This is from Amy Jo Studios. This is the brown paper I use now instead of paper bags. Paper bags are too hard to cut, and it's easier to fold a brown paper bag. This is a little bag from something I bought on Etsy the other day, a couple of weeks ago, and I used it. I thought it was very fitting. This is a toe tag, about 100 of them on Amazon. If you cover it up, you could also use it as just a regular tag. And I have interruptions in the background. I'm sorry. This is a quote. The quotes are from Bookisms. I like his quotes, and they're kind of tiny, and you can kind of insert them in places. Annabelle, I covered Annabelle in the last book, but not very visually. Annabelle, I tabbed it up there. This is from Amy Jo Studios. This is a napkin. You can buy these for, I got more background noise. You can buy these on Amazon, sometimes at the craft store. I didn't have any luck at the craft store finding them, so I just bought some floral napkins. I needed them for another project. Annabelle Lee was one that was typeset so weird in the book, I had to tear it 3 or 4 times to get it to work. Again, this is a book that I had to buy 2 copies of because of how it was typeset. This picture here, it kind of reminds me of the Grateful Dead a little bit. And this one here, the witch's hat with some flowers. Another quote by Bookisms, Edgar Allan Poe, and some ephemera I had. And the same picture from Amy Jo Studios. And the poem song. The poem song, this is a snippet of music. Some ephemera. His poems do not remind me of really anything goth. They just remind me of being cold. Cold, winter, cold, gray outside. So that's kind of what I went with this book. It's a poem song. This is the other part of that page. This is a picture of Virginia, his wife. I thought I read somewhere where there aren't any pictures, so people just kind of sketch this. There might be one picture. Valentine with the blue heart. For some reason, I went with blue hearts again. I don't know why, but I went with the blue heart because I happen to have it. This is paper from my porch prints. That's from Tim Holtz. Okay, on Valentine, I'm a little bit hard to explain. Valentine is a puzzle poem. There's a hint here. It's from one of the lines. It's of poets, by poets, as the name of a poet, too. This one here, I'm not going to open up, but it has this little envelope or pocket, has the answer of this poem. You can kind of look it up and figure out how to do it. Each line, like the first line, the second line, the third line, the fourth picture, and then the fourth line, the fourth word, fifth line, the fifth word, and it goes like that, and it tells the name of another poet. More paper I died, pages I died. To the river. To the river. That's a ephemera I had. Now remember, boats back when were boats like this. They weren't boats like we have today. They didn't even have electricity back then. So this is the poem Alone. And this is actually talking about electricity. This is an example of how he had to write. I have background noise again. I'm sorry. This is Poe's Tales of Imagination. I've tried to record this thing 3 times today, and seriously, I'm just going to laugh at it. So that's Edgar Allan Poe again. That's the Keurig machine in the background. This is Sonnet to Silence. He was known to dabble in science. Sonnet to Science. He was known to dabble in science. And this is some steampunk ephemera I had. And this is, oh my God, the Keurig machine. This is Sonnet to Science. And I used a little flower. This video is probably not going to be great. This is my porch prints and some more of that paper from Amazon. This is Lenore. Lenore is not my favorite poem, and for some reason it's almost irritating because I don't really even like it. But I tried to give it some justice here, and this is Lenore. The pictures I did over at Office Max, because if you watch my videos, you know that I have any heavy-duty printing jobs sent to Office Max, so they did these 1 pages, and they did them upside down and right side up. So I just took the upside down ones and used them too. I mean, not to throw them away, right? So this is Lenore. It's a very long poem, and at least down there's some blanks. Sometimes on this book, there's another poem starts right there. So this is blank here, and I was able to glue it in like a little book. This is some ephemera, and this is some doilies, and I have 100 doilies, so you see them all the time. Some more book, more on the book. Oh, this is from Releasa Crafton. For some reason in this book, I sewed the pages in backwards. I've made 5 or 6 of these books, 7 of them. I don't know why I did that. But this one wasn't tight, so I solved the problem with some glue and Tim Holtz flowers. Lisa Crafton is one of my favorite YouTube channels, and I watch her and stalk her all the time. So this is A Dream Within a Dream. More of that paper from Amazon. Some blue and purple butterflies I had, and that paper from my porch prints. And some more. So this is A City in the Sea. This is one where I couldn't figure out what it was about. So I found that little picture and I added it. Added her. She's from Amy Jo Studios. This probably has nothing at all to do with the poem, but well, there's the poem. And some more ephemera. Another picture. Valley of Unrest is just that, Valley of Unrest. I used a gray piece of paper that I hand dyed, and I had this piece of picture, a very old picture of a mountain. It's not a valley at all. And here's some darkness, and here's kind of dark pictures, dark theme pictures, and Valley of Unrest. And this is Edgar Allan Poe playing card. You know, I buy these yellow, or I'm sorry, they're not yellow. I buy these library card envelopes, and they work great. They come with library cards. They're off Amazon, but you can buy them by 100 of them. That's a picture, because I don't like blank pages. Another page I hand dyed. Another page I hand dyed. Here's that key again. This is lace from my porch prints. And this one here is To My Mother. I thought the page was absolutely beautiful and very fitting. This is a picture of his mother. I think there's really only one. So I think that these people have painted these pictures. I found this one and put it there. I can hear the Keurig again in the background. This is To My Mother, and I added some flowers there. I thought the picture was pretty. This has lines on it, but you'd not want to write in it. And this is some ephemera I had, and I glued on there. This is a poem called Romance. Like I said, his poems are not scary, but they're kind of cold and damp and wintry. Romance, something by Tim Holtz. Another page. I think that's the Damask pages by my porch prints. You guys see this one. Let's see. This page here. The middle page is Lisa Crafton, and her pages, if you ever check out her Etsy, her pages are absolutely beautiful. Another one by my porch prints. This is El Dorado. It's actually one of my favorite poems he ever wrote. There's a bat. I think that's from Amy Jo Studios. And there's a stagecoach. Again, they didn't have cars back then, so, you know, they traveled somehow, so he traveled by stagecoach. But he was also known to walk a lot. I mean, he walked a lot. So this is El Dorado, and I think it's rather well known too, but I like this poem. I've been to El Dorado. I've been to El Dorado, Kansas, and El Dorado, Texas. So this is probably about El Dorado, Texas. Or maybe it's just a guy name. This is, I don't know actually what he wrote this. I don't know if he wrote this about the city or what. But anyway, El Dorado. This is Bridal Ballad. I could have put a picture there. I didn't. In Bridal Ballad, oh, this is one of those that the book did really, really weird. On the back, I had to cut these. So I just made a pocket here and put the Bridal Ballad into it. Another library envelope and Edgar Allan Poe playing card. And pink paper that I hand dyed. I probably should, when I hand dye paper, I probably should leave it in the ink longer. I don't. This is, I actually like kind of like the muted color of it anyway. Another lace page. This is an enigma. Now, to do the visualization of the enigma was a little bit hard, because I think every 2 lines is about another poet. So I found that little guy and I put him there. The Raven. The Raven in the book I did of Edgar Allan Poe, I didn't do it any justice at all, except say that he got $9 for it, and he was still poor after he wrote it. I don't know what $9 back in 1840s, 1830s even translates to today, but anyway, it's not very much. It's kind of an insult. Oh, this is from Operation Reprint, more of the brown paper from Amazon. And this is The Raven. This is a page I kind of messed up. Well, I guess in these journals there's no way of messing it up, but I thought I messed it up. So I glued this on there. That's the raven behind it. And this is another reason why I had to have a second book. That's a little raven, black raven I had. And so this was a poem in front of it. And so I made it into a little book of the raven. And you can see how I did it. And another page by Release the Crafton. Another page by Operation Reprint. And this is The Bells. Now, I think The Bells was published, I'm not sure. The Bells, I know, was the very last poem he wrote. And I think it was published after death. I'm not sure. I think if I remember reading that somewhere. Again, this one here, it's kind of Christmassy, but it's not very... It reminds me of cold and winter again, so I had to grab some winter paper. I do like this. This is from that same book of winter papers that I did the poem Silence on. You can see that the bells are in there. You can see Annabelle Lee there. I guess that's rather fitting. And on the back of that's actually a blank. I had to buy, like I said, I had to buy 2 of the Signet books to do this, and Signet book is not the book I would suggest that you use. This is one by Operation Reprint and My Porch Prints. They're by My Porch Prints and Operation Reprint. So I took this page afterward and I just taped it or glued it on there. These butterflies and wings are from Tim Holtz. This is supposed to be a clear wax seal. It's not very clear, is it? This is Nevermore, of course, from Operation Reprint. I like this here. This was the afterword in the Signet Classic book. This is a puzzle. This is a puzzle. No, this is a stamp, and I glued it on top of another stamp. It's actually Edgar Allan Poe stamp. I bought some stamps of his on Etsy. It's a 3-cent stamp. He'll probably show up again in another book. This is from Amy Jo Studios. This is from Operation Reprint. These are just some pages. I do have room to put Tamerlane in it. Tamerlane was his first poem, and for the life of me in the little book, I couldn't figure out how to do it. That was the refrigerator. Even the refrigerator's against me today. So some more pages and more pages. And the last page is Edgar Allan Poe and Edgar Allan Poe. And here, and more pages. I have to explain something. When I record these books, I don't have a way of putting the phone the other way because of my tripod. It does not extend. The extension on the cell phone extension does not extend the length of this phone. The phone's just too long to do it. So you'll have to see the spaces on the sides again. And I intend to buy a ring light. I haven't bought it yet. I think that's probably going to be the next thing I buy. So if you like my channel again, subscribe to my channel. And this is Edgar Allan Poe Poems, and on to another book.